Yes, you can save money on your grocery bill, even if you're not near a Kroger or an Aldi. Hi, I'm Hope.
And I'm Larry.
From Under the Median. Welcome to Frugal Friday Tips, where every Friday we give you quick and easy wins to help you spend less and save more. If you're unfamiliar with our channel, we raised our 4 sons debt-free on an income which was consistently under the U.S. national average income. And along the way, we got super good at saving money and living with a spirit of joy and abundance on that shoestring budget. All right, so let's get into today's topic. I recently began receiving some inquiries from viewers who said, hey, I really appreciate you showing all your great Kroger store hauls, all those markdowns, really cool, but I am nowhere near a Kroger. And others of you said, I'm nowhere near an Aldi. So the question was raised, is it possible to save money on groceries even though you are not anywhere near one of those huge mega grocery store chains? And the answer is yes. So we devised a 3-part series where we're going to walk you step by step through how, yes, you can lower your grocery bill even if you're not near one of these mega chain stores. Now, if you're a fan of the program, I'm going to tell you thank you so much for all of your get well wishes. I have been battling the virus, who shall not be named, for about 2 weeks now. I'm feeling much better, and I am so excited to be back with you for this Frugal Friday. And you'll notice who is with me here too.
Hi, everybody.
Larry's not usually with me on Fridays, but you know what? He came on last Friday, and everybody overwhelmingly said, Larry, we love seeing Larry. So he's back on with me. Now, one of the questions that was raised last Friday in the program was the fact that he asked me if he could have an extra biscuit because he was on the program with me. So a lot of you ask in the comments, did Larry get his cookie? And the answer is yes. Now, because I was sick, Larry had to go grocery shopping alone. Bad mistake. This is what he brought home, y'all, for his cookie.
These are outstanding. Yes, indeed. Chocolate-covered marshmallow cookies from Aldi's. $1.79. Good bargain.
Guys, look, I got to tell you. Look, this is an ongoing debate in this family as to whether these cookies, actually constitute a cookie or not. Look, I don't eat sweets very often, and when I do, I want to know that I've eaten a cookie. I want it to be a substantial cookie. And he's crazy about these things. Basically, they are like fluffy marshmallow covered in chocolate with just a little thing down there that almost sorts of it just goes, cookie, I'm a cookie.
It is a good cookie.
No.
All
right, so we want to know in the comments, are you on Team Larry? These marshmallow things are actually cookies, or whether you're with me and it's like, if you're going to eat a cookie, it's got to be like a lot of cookie substance there. I want to know I've eaten a cookie.
And by the way, on another note, when Hope said that she's back, I am so glad to have her back. And I knew she was back and feeling good when she started getting ornery. That is how I know she's back.
That may or may not be true, I have to say. Larry did a great job filling in for me while I was gone. And he actually, on Monday, he dropped a video that told the story of how we fell in love and got married. And so all of you have been very, very kind about that video. And I thought he did a great job while I was gone. And we're going to do a follow-up video on Monday. So, you know, we actually had scheduled at the end of the month, the last Monday of the month, we had scheduled to do a question and answer program where we answered your questions. And we just moved it up a week. We bumped that Q&A program up a week. So I'm going to give some of my thoughts on how we met and how we dated. And then we're going to answer some of your questions, and we'll do that on Monday's program. But hey, this is Frugal Friday, and we are talking groceries. We're talking food. Food is one of the main areas that people not only want to cut back on, but they feel kind of trapped like they can't cut back on it. And I'm here to tell you that absolutely is not true. There are so many different ways that you can cut your grocery budget. Now, as I mentioned, all of the tips that I'm going to give you in this 3-part series are broad-based tips. They're very general. So you can use the tips at any grocery store that you shop at. Now, Kate, one of our longtime viewers, dropped me a note and said, hey, please remember that not all of us are vegetarian. Yes, you're absolutely right. Now, all of the strategies I'm going to give you, you can apply the strategies toward any way of eating that you have chosen. However, everybody knows if they followed us for any length of time, we are vegan. So that means that I'm not going to show you pictures of ground beef and tell you how to use it because I don't use ground beef. I'm not going to show you cheese or eggs because I don't use those either. I'm going to show you what I have in my house as examples of how this strategy works. But the strategy works across the board no matter how you choose to eat. Now, if you want a channel that I think does a dynamite, bang-up job of telling you how to eat what is considered more maybe of standard American diet that does have meat and cheese in it. And she does a fantastic job of telling you how to do it on a budget. And that is Mike and Tara Cullum. And you can find them over at Living on a Dime to Grow Rich. And so if that's what you're looking for, like those cooking videos that's going to show you how to cook with some of those things, go see Mike and Tara, tell them that we sent you over there, and she will do a fantastic job of showing you that. But if you want to get more like veggies and beans and rice and you want to eat more vegan, then definitely this is where you should hang out for all those cooking tips.
And Mike and Tara talk a lot about frugal living too.
They do.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not telling you to go over there and not stay here because as I mentioned, all of the tips I'm about to give you, very broad-based, and you can use them for however you are choosing to eat.
So here's what we're going to cover in the 3-part series. The first item will be basic rules of food engagement, and we're going to cover that tonight. Also, 3 steps to saving money. Mm-hmm. Now, in the second week, how to shop at the store.
I'm going to tell you exactly what to do and what not to do at the grocery store in order to get in there, get what you need, get back out, and save money.
That's the way I like to shop.
That's right.
Yeah, just get right to it. Don't mess around.
And
the more you mess around, the more you're going to spend money
exactly.
at the store. Yeah.
All right, what are we going to cover the third week?
On the third week, we're going to cover 5 steps to saving time. Saving time. Mm-hmm. How about that?
And all of these ideas for saving time in your kitchen are also going to save you money. All right. So that's an overview of everything we're going to cover in the 3-part series. So let's get started talking about basic rules of food engagement. When we think of rules of engagement, we think of a war, right? That's usually what we use the term rules of engagement for.
I think of rules about getting married. That's a different kind, isn't it?
Different kind of engagement.
Oh, well.
He's still back on our How We Met video. All right. So in a way, this is a little bit of a war, right? So we are in a war to lower those grocery expenses. So I want you to think of it that way. Think of, okay, this is something that we have to strategize. Let's start tonight by talking about basic rules of food engagement. These are broad-based ideas of how I want you to think about food in your home. But all of these rules will help you to automatically pare back what you are spending on food. I want you to think about having an emergency meal in your pantry. You know why? You know what this is?
That's a phone.
That's a phone. And who are they calling?
Domino's Pizza.
That's right. That's right. Because if you don't have a backup plan, that pizza joint that you have on speed dial is going to be in your hand making that phone call. Put the phone down. Don't be calling that fast food restaurant to put your regular takeout order in. Let me give you an idea of what I'm talking about when I say have an emergency backup meal in your pantry. Now, before we were vegan, it was mac and cheese. I gotta be honest. But now that we're vegan, my go-to pantry item that I have at all times in my pantry are canned beans. You know why? I can tell you off the top of my head a half a dozen things that I can make with a can of black beans. All right, ready? Time me. I can add some taco seasoning to it, and we can make black bean tacos. I could add some ingredients to it, and I can make black bean burgers. I can puree it and add some seasoning to it, and I can make some refried beans. I can put those refried beans either over some toasted corn tortillas along with some other toppings and make tostadas, or I can put them over some homemade flour tortillas, and I can make some roll-ups. Or, most importantly, I could add like some barbecue seasonings to it. I could make barbecued black bean sandwiches.
Seconds.
There you go. 31 seconds. That was 6 things you can make with 1 can of black beans.
Now, I got to say, this came in handy when Hope got sick last couple of weeks. She's been down. We had black beans in the pantry, and she was able to tell me how to fix them. I don't do the cooking. I do breakfast. I don't do the rest of the cooking. I used to long time ago, but I haven't. I don't do the kind of cooking that she does. So, but that came in handy. We had food. We didn't starve.
Okay, so that gives you a really good idea of what it means to have an emergency meal sitting there in your pantry ready to go. It can mean the difference between that fast food takeout call and being able to eat food that you already have in your home. All right, second rule of engagement is, this is super important, number 2.
Weekly repeats are okay. Do you want me to say that again?
Yeah, go ahead.
Weekly repeats are okay.
Okay, that made him so happy to be able to say that twice, to repeat it. Now, what do I mean by that? Look, your family has specific things that they really, really enjoy eating. If you put tacos on the table once a week, or then go, "Ooh, Mom, tacos again? Yuck." I could give you a list of 4 or 5 things that my family loves to eat. And if I rotate those through my monthly menu plan, they don't care. They absolutely love it. It is okay to repeat family favorites.
Lentil soup is one of those items.
The third rule of food engagement is KISS. Keep it super simple.
I was thinking of something else.
Your family does not need a 4-course meal. All they need is a main dish, maybe 1 side dish, and a piece of fruit for dessert. Don't overfeed them, and don't overthink the menu plan every night. You don't need to do it.
And number 4 is don't feel guilty. Now, what do you mean by don't feel guilty?
What I mean is, all of us as parents think, "Oh, I just gotta make a whole bunch of food for my kids. It's all gotta be different. It's all gotta be trendy food. It's all gotta be this. It's all gotta be that." No, it doesn't. Stop feeling guilty. None of us is Martha Stewart, okay? Unless Martha, if you're watching, hey. But, everybody else that's watching, we're home cooks, right? Mm-hmm. And that is okay. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel like you have to try to do it all, especially if you're working full-time outside of the home. Don't feel like you have to go overboard all the time on food.
So the next thing we want to talk about are 3 steps to saving money. Let's go with the first one. Know what you spend.
Now, if I asked you, what do you spend on groceries every month? How many of you could tell me this is exactly what I spend? Because you track it. Most of you can't. Now, I'm going to show you a great way to do this and do it quickly. I actually went to our online debit card account and I printed this off. This is 2 weeks worth of debits for us. And everything that is highlighted in orange is something that I spent on that goes into the food budget, all right? So you can see that there's actually a pretty good percentage of stuff on this list that actually was food that I bought. Now, I'm going to tell you there are a couple of reasons it's important to do this. One is because you want to know what you spend. So grab 1 month worth of debits, an orange highlighter, a yellow highlighter, whatever color highlighter you want. Highlight everything on there that was food that you bought. That's going to show you immediately, number 1, how often you're actually buying food. I'm going to tell you, this surprised me and it appalled me a little bit because in 2 weeks, there's no way I should have been at the store this number of times. I counted it up. Now, the second thing it shows you is how much money you're actually spending on food. It's a pretty good ballpark estimate of how much you're spending on food by doing this. Once you have everything highlighted, you're going to total it up. Once you total it up, you're going to use that total as the average of what you're spending on groceries every single month. Now, Larry, and I do this to him all the time, you guys know that. I ask him questions and he doesn't know the answer because he hasn't looked. He doesn't know ahead of time. What does the average family of 4 spend on food every month?
I'm going to guess around $1,300.
Seriously?
Yeah, about $1,300.
That is actually about how much they spent, but that does not include going out to eat. Going out to eat adds another $400 a month. So that is just food that is consumed at home for the average family of 4. Now, if that's where you're at, I don't want you to panic and I don't want you to feel bad because that's average, right? What I want you to do is know that that's what you're spending because that's the first step, all right? So after you know what you spend, I want to tell you that we spend under $300 a month to feed our family of 4. Now, granted, one of the reasons we're able to do that is because we are vegan. I won't lie to you, being vegan is an incredibly inexpensive way to eat if you are eating real whole foods and not processed vegan foods. It's very, very inexpensive. But even with what I spend on food, we have specific goals when it comes to food in our home. So that's the next thing that I want you to do after you know what you spend is to set a goal. Now, if you're spending $1,200 a month or $1,500 a month, I don't want you to panic and cut that in half to $750 and go to your family and say, hey, I watched this great video on Under the Median and we're going to spend $750 a month instead of $1,500. We're going to cut what we spend on groceries in half because you're going to have a mutiny on your hand in about 48 hours. Okay?
Probably.
So don't do that. What I want you to do is set a realistic goal and say you're going to cut it by 10% because that, my friend, is very, very doable. If you're spending $1,500 a month to feed your family, can you spend $1,350? That's just 10% less. Of course you can.
Create a plan to succeed is the next point.
That's right. So after you have said this is the goal, you're going to have a plan because just a goal with no plan associated or attached to it isn't going to happen. So, how are you going to cut that 10% out of your food budget? Are you going to buy less processed foods? Are you going to cut back on snack foods and junk foods? Are you going to eat more at home? Are you going to plan menus at home, whereas you've just been planning menus and then going to the store and buying whatever you need to make those dishes? How specifically are you going to meet the goal?
They could buy generic food if they're used to buying name brands.
Absolutely, and that's going to cut back about 20 to 30%. Yep. Generic foods, if you've not tried them, have come a long way in the past few years, and I actually really, really encourage you to give that a try.
You know, most generic foods are actually name brand foods. They just put them in a different can and send them off on the assembly line.
That's absolutely correct. Okay, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to know what you have on hand.
That means taking an inventory.
That's absolutely what that means. So I'm going to show you just a couple of different forms here. This is a fresh food inventory. It's perishable food inventory. At our house, we fill this out at least once a week. When I do my weekly menu planning, I go around the house and I see exactly what I have on hand. Now, right before we did this video, I went around the house and I wrote down exactly what I have on hand. So I know that I have 6 baking potatoes, but I know 4 of those are medium potatoes and 2 of them are large. I know I've got 2 bulbs of garlic. I have 2 baked sweet potatoes sitting in the refrigerator, and I'm going to figure out something to do with them. If we're not just going to eat them as a side dish, I'm going to figure out something else to do with those sweet potatoes. Now, you do know that I love me my markdowns from Kroger. So this is how this whole video actually got started, were these Kroger markdowns. So I do have some of these Kroger markdowns, but it's really important when you are buying food that is on sale, particularly when it comes to like greens, that you know exactly what you've got and that you decide how and when you're going to use those items. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in just a second. But you'll see that all of my perishable foods are listed. I also have a listing that is for our pantry and for our freezer. It's really important to keep those up to date.
So that will help you in the subpoint that's under this. Stop wasting food.
Yes, stop wasting food.
Now, I hope that is her pet peeve. She just hates wasting food. So
now, the average American family actually throws out $1,600 of food every single year.
Ouch. That is a lot of food.
I know. So, like, if you're driving along and you got 16 $100 bills, you're going to happily just throw them out the window and go, well, there goes another 100 here, 100 there. It's okay. Of course you're not. Of course you're not. So one of the things that our family has done, we actually have a food waste goal. And our goal is to waste no more than 3% of the food that comes into this house. So if it comes in the house, we use it.
The next thing you can do in regards to your pantry is arrange it like a store, like with shelves, put like items with like items, use categories, and that way you'll know what you have and it'll be easy to find.
Now, I have done an entire series on Frugal Fridays on your pantry. I've talked to you extensively about how to organize your pantry and how to make sure that you are stocking your pantry and how to stock it for as little as $5 a week. So rather than reiterate that information, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to post it up above and
I see it
in the description of this video. So you'll be able to watch that when you're done with this video. All right. And the third step to saving money is?
Know how to prioritize your fresh foods. Why is that important, Hope?
Because otherwise you're going to wind up throwing things out. I'm going to use this as my example. I told you I'd come back to these. So these are 2 bags of greens that we got on markdown at Kroger. Now, this is romaine lettuce and this is spinach. Which one of these will tend to last a little bit longer?
Oh, the spinach, for sure.
The spinach will last longer
Yeah.
than the romaine lettuce. So this romaine lettuce is going to go to the top of my menu plan, and this is going to go for a little bit later in the week. The other thing that that happens with spinach is if it starts getting a little wilty, it can be used for a lot of other recipes rather than romaine lettuce. It's pretty much just romaine lettuce, and you're going to use it for a salad-based product, right? So the spinach is more versatile. Mm-hmm. Make sure when you're looking at your list of perishable food products that you're prioritizing the order that these need to be used in so you waste as little food as possible.
The next thing you'll want to do is make sure that you store foods properly.
If food needs to go into the refrigerator and you have it sitting out on your counter, it's going to rot more quickly on your counter. And the same is also true. If it needs to be out on your counter and it's someplace else in your house, then you're not going to see it. I'm a huge proponent for having food that is perishable where you can see it, because if you don't see it, you won't use it.
So you want to use it up or preserve it for later. Now, what do you mean by preserve it for later?
You can always flash freeze items, or you can actually dehydrate items. And I have actually a video that I did that showed how to organize your freezer, and I talk in there about flash freezing, how to flash freeze items and put them into your freezer for later use. So I'm going to link that once again up above and in the description of this video.
The final item in this would be don't throw away any parts that can be eaten.
That's right. You can use the stalks of broccoli. You can use the thicker stems of asparagus. You can eat the leaves of the broccoli and cauliflower plant. So make sure that if it can be eaten, that you're not throwing it out. And if you feel like you can't eat it or don't want to eat it, stick it in a freezer bag and label it so that you can make vegetable broth out of it later. I always have a couple of freezer bags in the freezer that say broth vegetables, and when those bags are full, I'm gonna make a big batch of homemade vegetable broth so that nothing gets wasted.
All right.
Now, next week on the program, we're gonna get more into the nuts and the bolts of how to do the menu planning, and I'm going to tell you exactly how you should not menu plan. I call it backwards menu planning, and it's what you should be doing. I'm also going to tell you how to read a grocery store flyer and find what you want and need for the best prices, and how to shop and how not to shop in the grocery store. So make sure you don't miss next week's program. It will be part 2 of this 3-part series. I'm going to be showing a lot of different forms during this 3-part series. And if you are digging these forms, the best thing that you can do is to get the forms, and you can have them in my Menu Planning Made Easy ebook. And I'm going to make sure that there's a link to that up above and in the description of this video so you can take a look at that. We'll be back next week for the next Frugal Friday tips. Hey, I've had a little bit of a cough. It's a residual leftover symptom from having the virus who shall not be named. So if my voice sounds a little raspy during this program, or you see me kind of getting ready to cough, I probably am. So I apologize in advance. Larry's got some editing to do to hopefully edit out all of my costs, but I didn't want it to be distracting to you. Now, I gotta tell you, when I eat a cookie, I want like a substantial cookie. I want to know that I've eaten a cookie because I don't eat them very often. But this, look, it's light, it's airy. We're gonna have to cut that out.
Bummer, man.
I'm sorry.
This is a photo of my brother Don and I taken around 1958. Don is on the right.